Hi, I'm here with Jeff Ludwig, the author of Overreach, Blood of Patriots. And can you tell me a little bit about the book and why it's relevant to us? We're here at CPAC right now, the Conservative Political Action Conference, and why is it relevant to that? This is a fiction book, but these are real politics.
They sure are, Ford. And it's relevant today because so many people are unemployed, frustrated, and fearful. When you look at the NSA spying case, when you look at the abuses of government power, one of the things that happens is folks have a tendency to be afraid of the future. And here at CPAC, one of the things we're trying to do is we're trying to get the voice out that we're one nation, under God, indivisible. And with all the division that's in this country right now, that's both brought on by our administration and by outside sources, we're at risk of being a nation divided.
I saw that you had compared the book to the style of Tom Clancy. So this is a political kind of action thriller. What exactly is the content of the book? What happens in it?
Well, it's a military and political thriller, Ford, and it's about a president who is power hungry, an insidious government program that spies on its citizens. It has blackmail, murder, and rogue government agencies. But it's also a cautionary tale. A tale about the cost of war, specifically a civil war in the United States, which may not be as far-fetched as one might think.
What do you think could lead to something like that? And is this based on an event that you've seen so far? Is this a criticism of post-9/11 America?
Not so much a criticism of post-9/11 America, although we have been given a false bill of goods, that we trade our liberty and our freedom and our constitutional rights for security. But it has happened. It's happening in the Ukraine as we speak today. It almost happened in Thailand just a few weeks ago. And all the events in the book we took from other events that have happened throughout history. The Mark Twain, the great author, once said the difference between fiction and nonfiction is that fiction has to at least be plausible.
What kind of message, so you said that it's a cautionary tale, what kind of message do you think that the average reader can take away from it? What are you looking for people to learn from it?
Well, number one, we need to stand up and we need to be prepared. We need to be prepared to first vote in 2014 because young people like yourself and older folks like myself, we all have a responsibility. My generation inherited a great nation from our parents. Your generation is going to inherit a nation from us. I think it's incumbent upon us as citizens, my generation, to do the best we can to leave you with a fiscally sound government. And from a cautionary tale, pay attention. We see so many young people like yourself, Ford, that are here at CPAC learning and participating. And our young people, it's your future, it's your country. And we need to have your generation stand up, vote, and be counted.
And you said that a civil war is possible in the United States. What do you think could lead up to that? And what do you think the response should be to prevent something like that happening?
Well, when I did the research on the book, I first started to write a historical fiction about the American Revolution. So when I Googled American Revolution, one of the little boxes that came up was Second American Revolution. So I was intrigued and I clicked on it. There was over 50 million hits. So on a lark, I Googled Second Civil War. It was over 80 million hits. And as I began to look at the websites and the YouTube videos and the postings, what I saw were that millions of Americans are so frustrated and fearful that they think a revolution is right around the corner. They think our government is pushing us into a box that they may have to fight out of. And as far as a trigger event, economics has caused most of the great wars. When you look at World War II in Japan, it was the economy that pushed it. Well, with $17 trillion worth of debt, with no seeming end in sight for deficit spending, if we were to have an economic crisis in the United States like we've seen in Greece and Spain and Ireland and other countries in Western Europe, it could trigger massive unemployment. In Greece, they did a tax on savings. They just went to the bank and took 10% of everybody's money. If something like that were to happen, I think a lot of folks would stand up. And the thing that we can do to avoid it is to make sure we have responsible leaders in our city town halls, in our state houses, and our federal government.
And so you're at the Conservative Political Action Conference. Do you think that this is a specifically partisan issue, or do you think that someone who might identify as a Democrat or a liberal would get something out of your book as well?
Absolutely. You know, we went to great lengths. When I did the research and came up with all these hits, my knee-jerk reaction was that most of the folks would be on the radical right. But what I found, it was left, center, and right. And folks are upset about a lot of different things. I think the scariest videos I saw were by Anonymous. And they talked about how they were going to side with the right, that the war was coming, and that everyone should prepare. And there was a series of videos that said, load your weapons, stock up food, war is coming. And then shortly thereafter, a number of other anonymous videos came out and said, no, don't grab your guns, march. Peaceful, nonviolent protest. Some of you will die, but the world stage will see what has happened. So it's across the board, people are afraid. For different reasons, to be sure, but people are afraid. And you know, liberals, Democrats, Republicans, conservatives are all alike, most of them, in several things. They want the best for their families. They want job security. They want to know that they can pass on a legacy that they inherited to their children and grandchildren.
So you mentioned Anonymous earlier in reference to a current and real possible civil war. Is that something that's mentioned in your book? Does the group influence your book in any way? And would you say that you're for or against them? And do you think that they're a threat to our society?
Well, you know, Overreach, Blood of Patriots is the first of a trilogy. And so in the first book, Anonymous doesn't play a role, but they certainly will in the second and third books. As far as being for or against them, you know, Guy Fawkes and the British Parliament, they were by nature revolutionary. They wanted to turn to violence to accomplish their goals. But today, Anonymous means folks that could mean folks that are afraid of government coming after them for exercising their right of free speech. So I am for free speech, and I have 6 children, and I know my children think and process and communicate differently than I do. And so if these young people who make up Anonymous, if they find that they can communicate a good message this way, then I'm all for them.
All right. And where can people find your book, online or otherwise?
Sure. Well, they can go to my website, jdludwig.com, but also it's available on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, at the Apple iStore, and through dozens of other retailers.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Ford. Thank you.
Thank you.